This is just you and me, heart to heart, mom to mom, talking, relating. Like, this is our time so don't feel like nothing has to be, there's no structure to this. There's no structure. Yeah. You just pour out your heart if you want to. You can tell us everything you want to tell us. And it's okay. It's okay. That's the purpose of this.
It's hard. I don't know. It's just it's like if God was going to give them to me,
Mm-hmm.
the way that we have to care for him now,
Mm-hmm.
why couldn't it just have been, and I hate to say that because I don't know if it would be worse to know my child and lose them or to never have the opportunity to.
Yep. Yeah.
So
That's
I
so
battled
real,
with
though.
that.
Awesome. Okay, guys. So I'm so excited today. We're back on doing another awesome interview with an awesome parent that I can't wait to hear from. It's been a little while since we've interviewed anybody, so I'm really excited and honored that she was willing to get on and share her story, her family story. So I'm excited for you guys to hear about it. So I'm gonna let Miss Amy kind of introduce herself, introduce your family, if you would, your family in general. Just tell us a little bit about you guys, and then we'll jump into it.
Okay. My name's Amy Oates. We've got 4 children. I'm married to my husband, Kevin. We have four. They are um, almost 12 girl, almost 10 girl, 4 and 4 months, both
Oh,
boys.
wow.
So,
Wow. Got your hands full. My goodness.
yes, I do. And the reason, of course, that I'm doing this podcast with you is my son, Isaac.
Eh,
Um,
yeah, and
Sorry.
go ahead and tell us a little bit about Isaac. You can kind of jump into it, a little bit about him, a little bit about his diagnosis, and kind of go from there if you'd like to start talking about him.
Yeah. So, my son, I'm a little bit nervous. Sorry.
No, you're
My
fine.
son he has HIE as a result of
Okay.
an accident. He
Okay.
had a drowning accident at 19 months old.
Oh, wow.
So our family was pretty, I guess, what I thought was normal prior
Right.
to. Um, we had always prayed for a baby boy and we got one. And this really bad thing happened and it changed everything. So,
Okay. How old was he
um,
when that happened?
19 months.
Okay. And was it like was it in your backyard, a family pool? Was this at like a lake? How did that situation happen, or do you mind explaining how that situation experience took
Sure.
place?
So, every Sunday we went to church and we would go to my mother-in-law's house for Sunday lunch.
Okay.
For years, Kevin and I have been married together probably almost 15 years
Oh,
now.
wow.
So every Sunday we had lunch with the family
Uh-huh.
and cousins and aunts and uncles and grandparents. And, um, Isaac wanted a ball outside.
Mm-hmm.
I kept telling him no. It was March 8th of 2020. I kept telling him no, it was cold outside. Nobody was playing outside. Um, and he was determined and stubborn and found his way out.
Mm-hmm.
He had just started opening doors the weekend that it happened.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, like the kind of door where you pull the handle down and push the
Uh-huh.
door open.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, we had sadly attended a funeral the day prior, and I was following him around the funeral home and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
letting him open doors and, um, just letting him develop, I thought, like a normal
Right.
kid.
Right.
I
Yeah.
didn't know the next day he would use that um, new skill and change the course of our lives forever.
Right.
Well, at least for
Absolutely.
now.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess what developmental delays or physical challenges? What has that, like, for instance, our daughter is nonverbal. She functions at the age of probably a 2 or 3 year old instead of a 7 year old. She's probably going to be a forever baby. That's what we call her, our forever baby, because she probably won't ever live on her own or learn independent skills to be able to live on her own. So what does that look like for Isaac? I mean, what challenges does he have now? What comes with HID? Is that what you said it is?
Right. It's hypoxic, ischemic, encephalopathy.
Oh, wow. Something we can't pronounce. Yeah.
Yeah. HIE for short.
Yes.
Um, so when Isaac drowned,
Mm-hmm.
he lost oxygen to his brain,
Okay.
and it caused major damage in the brain, in the white matter, deep
Okay.
brain damage.
Okay.
So Isaac lost the ability to walk, talk, eat.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
he can't sit up.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Does he have medical equipment like a trach, a vent, G tube, any of that?
Yeah, so we did leave the hospital with a G tube.
Okay.
Um, everything else we pretty firmly declined. But once he was extubated, he spent 9 days on life support, and once he was extubated, they, had kind of pushed us for it.
Yep.
So those were hard days, but he breathed on his own when they extubated him. So
Oh, wow.
we were like, why, if he's
Yeah.
breathing on his own, then let's try to let him do that.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely. Okay.
so,
Wow.
and then of course, like, I don't want to get too far ahead of your
No,
questions.
no, go ahead. And if you end up answering questions that I think I'm going to ask, that's the nice thing about this podcast is I want you to be so comfortable. This is just a conversation. Yes, we have listeners and we want them to listen in and get all the goodies, but this is just you and me, heart to heart, mom to mom, talking, relating. Like, this is our time to, so don't feel like nothing has to be, there's no structure to this. There's no
Mhm.
structure. Yeah. You just pour out your heart if you want to. You can tell us everything you want to tell us. And it's okay. It's okay. That's the purpose of this.
It's hard. So I don't know. It's just so, it's like if God was going to give them to me,
Mm-hmm.
the, the way that we have to care for him now,
Mm-hmm.
why couldn't it just have been, and I hate to say that because I don't know if it would be worse to know my child and lose them or to never have the opportunity to.
Yep. Yeah.
So
That's
I
so
battled
real,
with
though.
that. And
That's a real feeling. And it's okay to feel that way and think that way, in my opinion. I, you know, I, we, the only reason I can speak for both of us is the hardest part for me, I think about is, gosh, one day I'm not going to be here and I'm not going to be able to care for so sometimes those thoughts of, no, do I want to lose my child? No, I would never want to lose my child. But sometimes I do have thoughts like, I don't want my child to be here without me or dad because no one will care for her or love her the way that we can. I can put it in God's hands, but I'm still a human and I still think with my flesh. So those thoughts that other people find morbid or wrong, or they just think I'm sick in the head, they're real though. This is real life for us. This is an everyday battle emotionally and mentally. So I get those thoughts that you're having and I totally understand that. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, in my opinion. It
it's
comes
a
with,
battle though,
yeah,
because like I'm fighting for trying to get something back that I'm not sure if he's meant to come back the way
right,
that I knew him.
right.
And so um lost my train of thought, but
No,
what
you're fine. So what do you think? Do you think is there that possibility with some kids? There's just not that realistic possibility. Like you said, they're not going to ever be what you thought what they were. So does he have that, like with Jadea, the chances of her ever speaking like complete sentences and having conversations and is pretty slim. She could probably speak some words one day, but realistically, it's probably not going to happen for her if I'm looking at it from that standpoint. Not saying that she could never, but I'm just, so do you feel like with certain therapies or whatever it is that he needs, that in some areas of his life he could gain back and be on that level again where he was? Do you think that potential is there realistically?
I honestly have seen it.
Have you?
There's one child in particular that I have seen it.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is like going through this whole process, I have to make these choices. And is it what Isaac wants? Did Isaac
Yeah.
want me to fight so hard to try to, make him
Yeah.
breathe on his own? Did Isaac want me, does he want me to push him through all of these therapies trying to get him back?
Right. Do you see
It's,
progression with him in certain areas?
not really. The
Okay.
the progress isn't coming as fast as we would want it to.
Okay.
But I think that some of the therapies that we have found are working. This
Okay.
one child that I have in particular, I'm sure you would love to talk to his parents because they called us. I don't know how we talk now. We're very close, but
Uh-huh.
we talk now and we can't even remember how we got a hold of each other because
Oh,
she had me on the phone that my Isaac was still on life support and she told me, you're going to hear this. They're going to say this. They're going to tell you it looks bad. They're going to,
yeah.
these are the things that you're going to hear.
Yeah.
And over here, you can choose that,
Right.
because at this point, it's me making a choice for him, right? Do I fight
Right.
for his life or do I let him go?
Right.
That choice was there.
Right. Right.
Um, so, they made it so that if we did decide to fight for his life, they had
Mhm.
tools that we could use.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so
And
the one of the first things that we did, we didn't want the trach, we didn't want the vent because we had our hearts set on, and we felt like God was leading us towards pursuing hyperbaric oxygen therapy.
okay, I've never heard of that.
So we were 50 days out of the hospital, well, 50 days in the hospital. The medical team here in Fort Worth wanted us to stay at home for a week to make sure that we knew how to care for Isaac.
Uh-huh.
Because at that point we were like, get us out. COVID had just, it was March 2020.
Oh,
Well, this
wow.
was April by this time, the end of April, going into May of 2020. So the world was falling
Oh,
apart.
wow. Oh my
Um,
goodness.
and we were like, get us out of this hospital so we can go try hyperbaric oxygen therapy.
Okay.
And he could not get this therapy with a trach and a vent.
Oh, okay.
So he could get
Okay.
it with the trach, but being on vent,
Right.
they can't put you in the chamber. It's not
Okay.
safe.
Okay.
So that was the first thing that we did. Um, and prior to hyperbaric,
Uh-huh.
it's basically just they put you in a machine that takes you to a pressure being the equivalent 10 to 15 feet underwater.
Oh, okay. Wow. That's intriguing.
Yeah. So there's a lot of studies out there for like related to like Navy diving and stuff like that. When divers
Mm-hmm.
have compression issues, they'll use the hyperbaric oxygen chamber. It's approved for wound care. It's approved for lots of different things, but not for brain injury.
Oh,
So
wow.
we paid out of pocket. We pursued the therapy. We spent 2 months in New Orleans in May of 2020.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Not
Oh
knowing how to
my
care
goodness.
for Isaac. I mean, we knew how to care for him, but
Right.
I'm sorry, we
No, you're fine.
didn't, at that point, we just really didn't know what we were going to get. I thought, those first couple of years, we're coming up on 3 years, but I would say the first couple of years, I thought, okay, we'll do this thing and he'll be better.
Right.
And then we'll do this thing and he'll be better. And
Right.
then
Right.
I
Absolutely.
think I have a little bit more of a realistic expectation at this point.
Right. Right. Absolutely. How would you say it's changed because you have other kids. So how has it changed your has it changed your family dynamic at all that you feel like, and in what ways, whether it's good or bad, or kind of give us an idea of what that looks like now versus what it looked like before?
Probably my biggest complaint and heartache is my husband and I are like passing ships in the night.
Yeah.
Um, we can't both be on at the same time or else we'll crash.
Yep.
So we take turns.
Mm-hmm.
And then our relationship is put on the back burner.
Right.
Um, and I just keep telling myself and him it's temporary, when one day our other three kids are going to move out,
Right.
right?
Right.
So if he can stick with it, I can stick with it.
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
absolutely. And that's hard. That was a huge struggle for us as well. And I mean, it still is something we have to work at every day because we're the same way with our daughter, whether it's in the middle of the night shift, whether it's our son has a basketball game and we want someone to be present. We can't necessarily take our daughter every time. So someone has to stay back. Someone has to sacrifice. It's always that way. It can't always just be a group unit like we would like it to be because we adapt to her lifestyle. We adapt to her. Our lifestyle now is what it is. But so I understand that because it's depressing at times, especially when you want the unity, you want to be able to enjoy it all together, you want to be able to get a good night's sleep, more than a couple hours a night, that kind of thing. So I can definitely empathize with that feeling. How do you feel like your other children and the dynamic of them and their brother? How does that, is it pretty strong or is it different in any way?
mm, yes and no. They
Mm-hmm.
love their brother. They're
Right.
still, Isaac can laugh
Right.
after hyperbaric. He got his smile back.
Oh, good.
So,
That's awesome.
and cognitively, he's a 4-year-old, so he gets jokes. So if one of the kids rolls through on a hoverboard, or if they're making silly faces or dancing funny, Isaac can participate in that um, engaging kind of way.
Yeah. Okay.
Not necessarily up and jumping around or
Right.
anything, but he can laugh at them when they're being silly and stuff. And so but I think time was the main thing that was stolen from my kids. We did everything together, like you said. We did everything we moved as one piece, and
Mm-hmm.
now it seems someone always gets left behind, to the grocery store, to or maybe I just don't have energy to go to
Yep.
the aquarium or wherever they want to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
It's hard. They
Absolutely.
I don't think that probably the damage that is happening inside of them is probably going to manifest for a few more
Right.
years. I
Right.
think that if I had time to put into creating some sort of normalcy instead of
Mm-hmm.
fighting, accepting and creating some sort of normalcy for my other kids, I think that it would be very beneficial. And my oldest is almost 12, so I've
Right.
got like 8 more years before she's an adult.
Yep.
And I don't want her to. She already misses me. I was gonna say I don't want her to miss me whenever she's gone, but she already misses me. So I don't
Right.
know. No point.
Right. Right. I understand that completely.
Yeah.
Completely. Our oldest is 12. So, yeah, we're just now to the point where we are on the same page, what you just stated, actually trying to create normalcy as much as we can, because honestly, we're not going to ever get to where we would like it to be, but we're trying for his sake because we've lost so many years, of putting him second or last, completely last. And it's just taking a toll. You can tell. And people don't really think of that about that part of it, about how the whole unit is affected. So I think that's really important to talk about. You kind of touched on your marriage. Do you think that how can I say that? I know that you said you guys are kind of like passing, just passing in the night kind of thing. Do you think in any way there has been this experience has strengthened your marriage in areas it wasn't strong before at all? Or do you think it just is more that it's just been more of a negative, uh, not negative, but you know what I mean? There's not really, you see more of negative things than you do the positives. Or some people will say, for instance, I will say there are many areas of our marriage that it has strengthened that I didn't think it would. So that's what I'm trying to ask is, do you think that, in your opinion, that you are stronger as a couple in any capacity or any area?
Of course, I want to say, yeah, everything's great. But I think really the truth is that this broke me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I've been fighting so hard, pushing away
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's living in denial. The grief just takes over.
Yeah.
Um, I've recently started taking therapy for myself, so I'm hoping things will get better. My husband is wonderful. After Isaac's accident, I lost 40 pounds. I quit eating. I quit cooking. I quit, I literally just wanted to lay down and die with him.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to, see that, and my faith goes like this,
Right.
it's like
Right.
one minute I'm real on fire and I see hope and then I'm like crash
Yep.
and burn.
Yep.
Um,
You're normal. You are normal.
okay.
You are not alone in that
Amen.
at all. At all. But I think it's a great thing that you can be realistic and honest. Even for our listeners, like I want people to know that you're right. It is not sunshine, rainbows, and no matter if you're grounded in your faith or not, it if you want to talk about tests of faith, oh my gosh, it gives me chills because it is the biggest test. But I think it's important not to be so hard on ourselves either. I went through that where I was just really hard on myself for grieving, hard on myself for being depressed, hard on myself for handling it the way I'm handling it emotionally, which was not good.
Yes.
And I'm like,
I'm going
I'm,
through all that right now.
yeah. And I think I got sick of being so hard on myself because one thing that God reminds me is that I'm human. Like the way that I'm reacting, He already knows how we're going to react. He knows how we're going to handle every situation. So it's not a surprise to Him. He already knows, and He's not disappointed in us. Yes, is it a test? Of course, I believe so. But I'm never going to sit here and believe that God is disappointed in how I'm handling it because He already knew. Like, He's not shocked. He's like, girl, I could have told you were going to act this way. It's fine. Like, we'll get it together. But I think it's really important to have those people that can lift you up, like your husband, or be there as a support, because my husband's the same way. He reacts totally different. The way we're totally
Yes.
different in the way that we handle this. Totally. So I'm grateful for him because I don't know where I would be if I was by myself in it, you know?
Yeah, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So
Um,
you said you were seeking therapy. That's awesome. I think that's beautiful. I hope that you're proud of yourself for that. You know,
Thanks.
I know that's hard to do it, but I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, well, I've tried a lot of different methods and I found one that it's called EDMR or
Yeah.
EDMR.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just it was recommended to me recently, and so I've had two sessions so far, and
Nice.
I'm hoping that it works. Nothing really. No amount of counseling can take away the grief
Right.
of this.
Right. No, absolutely not.
I don't see that it's possible, and I'm lucky that my husband's. I guess our marriage is pretty strong if he's going to stick around with,
Yeah.
you know. I mean,
That's a huge testament for whether it's the wife or the husband. I know so many people that walk away, that run away, that abandon. I,
yeah,
I've thought about it, to be really honest. You know, um,
same.
to be real. I've wanted to walk out and leave it. But that is a huge testament to your marriage that you have a partner that your spouse that is willing to stand by your side and your family, and because it's so easy for us to run away from our problems and the challenges. So that's awesome that
I
he
mean, I
is.
have hope, that things will
Yeah.
get better. We're still trying to figure out how to be in public
Oh,
together
really?
as
Okay.
a unit. You know what I mean?
Okay. Okay. So when you
Um,
say that, is there a reason that what makes it difficult to be in public as a unit?
well, right now,
Mm-hmm.
especially with another baby, a new baby, is
Mm-hmm.
space really.
Okay.
You get invited to someone's house and you wonder, is there, stairs? Am I going to have to lift the wheelchair up? Am I going to, that happened to me over the summer. I got invited to hang out. Okay, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was, I guess in the spring, maybe I was probably 7 or 8 months pregnant. And I
Oh,
get to my
wow.
friend's house. There's no gate on the side, no gate on the other side. There's stairs up to the front door. I had my Chick-fil-A and I just sat in the yard and cried and ate my Chick-fil-A until
Oh, man.
someone entering the party could help me carry the wheelchair in.
Oh,
So
wow.
stuff like that.
Yeah, I get that. It's emotional. I don't think I've done the same thing. I'll do the like I kind of shut down when it comes to creating friendships anymore because it's hard to find people that can adapt and accommodate your situation. So I've kind of just given up on that. But I've had a couple moments where I do the same thing, like might be invited over to family's house or whatever it is, and it's just doesn't accommodate our daughter's situation. And you just break down. It's hard not to. It really is hard not to. It's so frustrating sometimes.
Well,
So,
that's why it's important to connect with people
oh
that
yeah.
understand what you're going through. I was thrilled to meet Christy and her family
Oh
and
yes. I love
have
them.
her introduce me to you.
Yeah, they're such beautiful people. I remember when we did their interview. Oh my gosh. Talk about tears and chills and all the whole nine, but they're just a beautiful family. They really are.
They're
Uh,
very special.
they
To
really are.
knowingly take this on is just a whole nother type of angel human.
Yep. Yes, absolutely. How about how about job, like careers, jobs? Do you and your husband work? How does that work?
So I've always been fortunate to stay home with my kids.
Okay.
Um, I'm very blessed about that. I thought of it the other day. Someone had said something about, I had to work the whole time I was raising my son. Now I get to enjoy my grandkids and I'm retired. Well, I started late. So
Right.
I've been fortunate to be able to stay home with my kids and
Okay.
raise them and teach them and cultivate them and,
Right.
bring them to hopefully be loving, compassionate humans that
Yeah.
care for others.
Yeah.
Um, and then my husband is out there doing what he does to make this all work.
I'm so glad. You'll have to tell your husband if I won't get the chance to meet him, but I'm just very thankful because I understand what my husband's up there doing the same thing. So I can do this. So I appreciate that. I appreciate
Yes,
him for sure. For sure. And so he works full time.
he does.
Okay. Does he get to work a regular schedule or does he work like a wonky schedule or is it pretty
He's in construction.
okay? Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, we've been fortunate that the company has been really lenient to not make him travel a whole lot
Okay.
during this. Since the accident, they gave him, you know, he they've been very kind to us.
Good. Good. Because I know
Yeah, they've
construction
been very,
schedules can be chaotic depending on
yes.
where you
The summer before Isaac drowned, he moved to Vegas for 5 months. So
Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
yeah.
Oh goodness.
So that
No.
kind of schedule.
Oh wow. Nope. I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I could do it.
Well, and he was military when I married him, so I was kind of used to it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm I'm okay with, him
Having your
just
space.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm okay with
Okay.
it.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that that works and you're like, you have that opportunity to be home with your kids and you want to be home with your kids. I, I,
Same.
I was home for a while, but I definitely was not, it's not my, God just knew I was not meant to be a stay-at-home mom or wife, and I'm okay. I'm okay with it. But I did what I had to do for a while for Jadea. So you do what you have to do, definitely. How about friendships? You know, you said you started connecting or you've learned to connect with people that can relate to, you know, the lifestyle you live and the situation you're in. So do you think you've built more friendships? Do you think it's hard to build friendships?
It is. Most of my friends now are scattered all over the United States.
Okay.
Um, a lot of brain injury, and it's hard because I want to be close to them, but at the same time, it's like witnessing this same thing going on in their family is heartbreaking,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's like this ebb and flow. It's like I'm here to lift you up, and then tomorrow you might have to lift me up, and then
Yeah.
tomorrow we'll both turn around and lift up Christy, and
Yeah.
you know,
Or we'll all be down together all together.
right.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and it helps though, because that distracts me, helping others distracts me from, you know,
Yeah.
my own grief, to step out away from that and try to help make something better in someone else's life. Or maybe you say something that, I know it's happened to me. People, I can't think of anything right now, but
Right.
just
No.
little morsels that get you through.
Yeah. Absolutely. I know exactly what you mean. And it's when you least expect it, but you most need it. You need it the most. Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's good that you have that. I call it like a servant heart. I have a heart of a I want to help as much as I can. I always say, thank God I'm not rich because we would be broke because I would help and give and give and give as much as I could because I feel like sometimes it boils down to finances for a lot of families. So that's another thing I want to ask. It's something we've struggled with. Yeah. Equipment or resources and things for our children. Has that been, I can only imagine what kind of struggle it's been, but has it been a struggle for your family like it has so many other families that I know?
Sorry.
No, you don't have to apologize.
I know a lot of people that cannot get the care that they would like,
Hmm.
because a lot of the stuff that would help our kids is not covered by insurance.
Right.
When Isaac was laying in that hospital dead
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it had been 45 minutes at this point.
Oh my gosh.
I, you know, I fell on the floor. Something told me to get up, and I went to him, and my prayer was, I'm touching my baby. I'm like, please don't leave me. And my prayer in that moment was, whatever I have to do, just stay with me and I'll do it.
Hmm.
Whatever. I promised God, I promised Isaac in that moment. And, someone opened up a GoFundMe, and we were able to get a good head start on things. We've had a couple of people hold fundraisers for us, but it's been amazing
Good.
to not have to worry about where the money is going to come from.
Yeah.
So far up until this point, we're putting together another fundraiser right now, but
Okay.
up until this point, so almost 3 years after the accident, we've been blessed to not have to worry about that.
Good.
But then also there's this element of it where I get down to the last $1,000, and I'm like, okay, God, it was a good fight, right? I can rest now. I can accept. I can stop fighting. I can rest, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Isaac gets a grant, or Isaac gets, a donation,
Mm-hmm.
or um it's so double-edged sword and
Right.
sorted, and I feel like a terrible person for saying that.
No, I don't feel like you should feel terrible for that.
But my follow-up prayer behind that is, God, once this works, everything that we have left is going to go to the next person. That I don't
Right.
want there to be a next person that's going to need it, but
Right.
when it happens,
Right. Right. Because it
it's just
will,
all going to go to the
that's the
next
sad
person.
reality. It will happen. I mean, but that's great that you've been in a position to, like you said, you haven't had to really worry about where the money's going to come from. I can only imagine, we have been the total opposite side of the spectrum, just not as fortunate. But it also comes back to I've never been willing to ask for help. I've never been able to ask for help. Fundraiser, GoFundMe. In my head, I'm like, no, I don't want to ask anybody for that. So I commend you for being, because I think that's very unhealthy the way that I'm thinking. It doesn't do you any good. It doesn't do your child any good. So I commend you for I'm grateful for whoever has donated and contributed to that, because that's amazing and that's awesome. And of course, I always love testimonies of God's grace and mercy and love, because that's what it is. As soon as you think, that's it, like, it is what it is, got to let it go. There's no, and he just shows up and he shows out every time, literally. So, and I think
Every
that's
time.
great that you're willing to pass and, donate or whatever you do, sell it to a family. We are a family who has been blessed by random equipment donations, and it, I can't tell you how life-changing that is for families. So the fact that you're willing to do that when the time comes, that's fantastic. It'll be a life-changing blessing for somebody. It really will.
I hope so.
Oh,
I hope
let
so.
me tell you, it will. It definitely, definitely will. Um, let's see, what other question was I gonna ask you? I had a question on the top of my head and I can't even think about it. What would be Tell us about Isaac's personality. So I know that you said, he if there's a joke, he'll giggle. You can tell us about his personality before the accident and his personality now. We'd want to know all about his personality and what kind of little boy he is.
Yeah, so he's amazing. I'm really glad he stayed. Days are hard. And doing what I have to do, I mean, I don't have to do it. I can decline donations or send the money back and say, you know what, we don't want to do this. But like you said, we're seeing little bits of progress. It's not as quickly as we'd like it to be, but
Right.
he's showing us every day that he's in there and he's willing to work. So he prior to his accident, he was very rambunctious. um, I was looking forward to having a boy.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was going to be like. Um, he was just did what he wanted to do. He marched to his
Right.
own beat. Daddy was his favorite person.
Yeah.
You know, um, it seems like so long ago, but after the accident, he his personality has slowly come back, and it's only been recently. He's 4. He just turned
Hmm.
4 at the end of July, but it's just only been recently that I've seen this like shift in understanding, or
Okay.
if you say something funny to him, he'll, or if you just like, why, if I'm doing some change in a diaper and the baby's like looking at me funny and I look over and say, why are you looking at me like that? Isaac will start laughing because he thinks that's funny because
Yeah.
he's 4,
Yeah.
or, we download silly apps that make silly sounds and he thinks it's funny.
Yeah.
um, so stuff like that. He likes blazing the monster machine. He can't communicate with me. He does, communicates a lot with his eyes.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. Does he is he able, like, I see you have a tablet. Is he able to move his hands to communicate with technology?
I keep messing with it.
Oh, it's fine.
Um, I would love to introduce you to him.
Oh yeah, I would definitely love to meet him. Of course. Absolutely.
Like right now.
Yeah, you can take the camera over there. Go ahead.
Let me go. Oh, hey, I want you to say hi to a friend of mine.
Oh, hey, buddy. Hi, Isaac. Oh, you are too cute. Look at
He's a little bit
you.
sleepy, but
You cutie.
this is my friend Nika.
Hi.
You
You
say
are
hi.
so cute. Look at those eyes. Are you
Did
tired?
you say
You look
hi?
tired.
I was
You.
telling her about.
He is too cute. You're adorable.
Yeah, he's a little sleepy right now,
That's
um,
okay.
but I
Hi,
mean,
buddy.
he knows who everyone is, which is something they said that would never happen. They
Yeah.
told us all the bad things. He'll never know who we are. He, um, he'll never walk, he'll never talk, he'll never do all those things. And
Mm-hmm.
so far they've been right about that. But there's one thing that they weren't right about, and that was, he wouldn't be present, and he is.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um,
And I always say, like, in my opinion, I'll say my opinion, listeners. um, that's on that note, that's more of like to me, a spiritual. You can't ever take that side of like the physical things, the real, that he may never walk and he may never, be a basketball star and move this way and do, but the knowing that spiritual side, that mental, that emotional, uh, I believe that God controls all that, honey. Yep, he's in control all that. So you can't take
he
that from
really
me.
is.
That's beautiful. I love it. He's so cute.
You just, you can't, you know, I know when people look at him, they underestimate his abilities, and that's one thing that I've had to be real careful about. You're
Yeah.
asking about his personality and stuff. He's a little bit
Yeah.
sleepy right now, but he understands everything. If you start talking about something, and I mean, he'll look back and forth between two people talking, and so
Yeah.
these children are nonverbal and not. I know you see or people may see the little things on Facebook
Right.
or on social media that say, they're in there, they know you, but they really are
They
like,
really are.
and words are powerful. And, to catch someone staring at him or, you
Mm-hmm.
know, um, it's like, in the beginning after the accident, I would, someone would be staring. Well, there was one particular incident where the woman was staring and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
he drowned. He just blurted out of my
Yeah.
mouth.
Yeah. Because it's I get very angry sometimes. I would rather a person be very blunt and just come at me and say, what happened? Or why does this look like this? Why does she look like that? Why does she move like that? I would rather someone say that than stare, you know, like there's a problem here. And sometimes I blurt out, is there a problem here? Is there a problem? I don't see one, because it's just disrespectful in my opinion. And I try to remember, people try to remind me, Nika, not everybody's exposed to special needs people. Not everybody understands. It's awkward, it's weird. And I said, that's okay. But a question is easy to ask. It's
Mm-hmm.
easy to ask a question. And that's what I think other parents, in my opinion, should teach their children when they're young. Ask the question. Ask me what happened. Ask me, why is she in a wheelchair? Those types of things. Ask me. Just ask. A question goes a long way. But the staring
Right.
and the looks and the whispering, those are all things that just, yeah.
Or parents making their kids stay away.
Yep. Like it's
That hurt. I think it
contagious.
all hurts.
It does all hurt. It does. Because
Because
they're,
I can remember before, and I'm sure before Jada, I mean, we, I don't know. I think I just probably pretty avoided. I don't think I
yeah.
just kind of avoided maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like,
putting myself in the situation
yeah,
where I would
yeah,
look or wonder or maybe just say a prayer in my head as I became an adult and just keep on going. I don't
maybe
know.
so. I remember being very uncomfortable around mentally handicapped people in general. My mom's always worked with the mentally handicapped, and my grandma did too. I remember being very uncomfortable, but I don't know. I don't remember going out of my way to stare or I don't know. Or maybe I just don't remember, but I've always been that person that asks the question
Yeah.
instead of assuming. Or if I'm not comfortable, then I'll remove myself from the situation. I'll walk away.
Right.
Like you said, I'll avoid it. If I'm not,
Avoided.
yeah, I'm like, if I'm uncomfortable, that's a me problem. So let me just excuse myself, you
You just
know?
don't ever think when it's going to be you, it'd be like family members and stuff who avoid the situation.
Yeah. Or I guess a question I could ask you, do you ever have family members that are in denial of what has happened, not willing to accept what has happened, and everything's going to be peaches and cream overnight?
Yeah.
It's
I
just going to
mean,
be peaches and cream.
I've got, I still have to walk grandparents. They're feeding him.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Yeah.
if, when before Isaac's accident, the
Mhm.
first person I would call if I wanted a date night was grandma and grandpa,
Yeah.
and 3 years after his accident, I can't leave them. I can't leave him because they don't know how to keep him alive by feeding
Right.
him,
Right.
let alone all the other stuff, his medication and stuff like that. But, um, and then I'm scared for my other kids. Like, I don't
Right.
want them to leave my sight.
Right. That's understandable.
I'm so afraid to
Do you
leave them.
do you think that's because of what happened to Isaac, or have you
Absolutely.
always okay. Okay.
My perfect little bubble got burst.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And there's a brain injury and everything. Like, it's one thing. And again, I don't want to, for people that are listening, it's so hard because I have friends that, birth injuries was,
Mhm. Mhm.
in the HIE world, HIE can involve, children with birth injuries, loss of oxygen, cerebral palsy,
Oh, okay.
um, traumatic brain injuries, as well as anoxic brain injuries, which is what Isaac has.
Okay.
Um, so his was a cut off of oxygen to the brain versus a blow to the head,
Okay. Okay. Gotcha. Okay,
right?
that makes sense. Okay. Got it.
Right.
Okay.
So his injury came from his heart stopping, and he died for almost an hour, and
Right.
then for some reason he came back,
Ouch.
and
That's just that's so insane to me when I hear you said 45 minutes. I didn't know that and that's I guess for me all I can think is but God because I didn't I-
a mother begging on the floor.
that's literally a testimony of God hearing your cry. Literally. Literally. That
Yeah,
blows my mind
he
because when
was
you
without a heartbeat. I mean, we knew he was dead when we pulled him out of the pool. And then, the ambulance wouldn't let us in, so they took him to the hospital, and we were right behind him. But a few minutes, and then it was still a while in the ER before they got his heartbeat back. But by that point, I was like over him praying and
right.
saying I would do anything,
Wow.
um,
That
and his heartbeat started
oh
again.
my gosh. Wow, that is so powerful. Because in my head I thought there was only a certain amount of time that could pass before, it's just too late. So then for people listening to this, I'm sorry, I know not everybody believes in God, but what I don't know how you explain that. That's beautiful. That's powerful. I know, bud, you're ready for bed. You're like Jadea. Jadea's probably knocked out by now. So does he take a lot of medication?
Mostly we just do supplements
Oh,
and
okay.
stuff to help calm him. Like, we use CBD oil with him.
Okay. Okay. Does
Um,
he have like any type of behavior issues at all or no? Like Jadea has very she has a more agitated personality. She's autistic as well as her primary diagnosis. So she's agitated a lot of the time. So she has violent behaviors. Does he ever have any type of behavior issue at all?
yeah, it comes out more like sweating,
Okay.
high heart rate,
Okay.
splotches on his skin.
Oh, wow.
Can Jadea move and like flail her body around? Okay.
Yes, yeah. Jadea is so Jadea really, really quick because I didn't even tell you before we started.
I
So
know.
my listeners get to listen again, even though they know all about her. She has 9p minus syndrome, which is a chromosome deletion. So she's missing 42 genes that she should have inherited. That's where you get her mental physical delay. So she intellectually is probably the age of maybe a 2 to 3 year old. We don't really know, honestly. And she's 7. She doesn't walk. She doesn't talk. Um, and she's autistic as well. She's very jerky. She's a jerky kid. She can move all parts of her body. She just can't, she's not mobile, really. She can kind of army crawl when she wants to, when she really wants something. But other than that, yeah, she's very jerky, very she can operate a tablet. We actually just figured that out this year. She can actually operate a
Awesome.
tablet. So that's kind of cool. Just like through Netflix, she can make choices, is what I should say. She can make
Is it
choices.
like, does she use her finger or does she use
Yep.
eye gaze? Or,
She uses her pointer or her thumb.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a big victory. It really is. So just like Mr. Isaac up here when people assume that she has no clue what you're asking her to do, telling her to, she has a clue. And sometimes I'll tell people because they'll say, well, does she even understand? And I said, well, she just manipulated you a little bit. So I think she understands. I think she gets it.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's a little bit about Jay. She is unfortunately the type of autism she has. It's just they're agitated children and it sucks because I wish she was more joyful. So we keep her on sleep meds and medicine to maintain her behaviors. We've tried everything under the sun before that and it just life got really hard for her after a while and you can only watch your child go through that for so long. So when
I
she
would love
gets
to share. I mean, have you talked to Christy about some of the stuff that she's doing for?
No, I have not. I have not at all. We very briefly talked about medication and stuff like that, but I haven't even really taken the time to like sit down with people like I'd like to sit down with everyone outside of, the podcast and just learn and share, what
So
we're
much learning.
yeah, yeah. It's never
I've had my
ending.
brain pounded with functional neurology and reflex integration.
Yeah,
And I mean, just there's so much like
so
what God
much.
does in 9 months in a womb. I'm trying to do and have been at it for 3 years now,
Girl.
almost.
Yeah,
It's
exhausting.
just, it's,
It's mentally exhausting. It really is. Yeah.
and physically when you have to do everything for them. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
your body feels
How
the
much does
physical
Isaac
strength of
weigh?
about 30 pounds.
Okay, so he little guy. Yeah. I would say
Maybe a
Jay.
little bit more than that, but it's hard to put weight on them when they have a button, you know?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yep. I would say Jay's probably close to 65. She looks she's very very tall. I'm not very tall and she's when you look at her you don't think there's much there, but oh my gosh, she's so heavy. I don't
And
know
she's
how
fully assisted.
Yeah, I don't know how we carry her. I don't I don't know. I don't know how we carry that girl, but it's not going to last much longer for me because she's about as tall as I am. So, it looks awkward when I carry her. But yeah, yeah. Hi, buddy. He's like, "Man, what are you doing?"
So, do you have to think about like you were talking about earlier, what happens to your kids when something happens to you? I
Mhm.
haven't really thought about that yet.
Well, I'm sorry I even brought that to your attention.
Well,
I,
it was coming, right?
yeah, I just I just recently started thinking about it, and I wish I didn't think about it, but my mom has been a very my mom's very realistic. She likes me to be prepared for that type of mentally, emotionally, and I hadn't really thought about it. And she's the one that brought it to my attention one day and just started discussing it with me. And after that, I couldn't help but think about it. I couldn't help, and I started to feel bad for saying to myself, I would never want anything bad to happen to Jadea, but I don't want her to ever be without us on this earth. That scares me more. That scares me way more. So, yes, unfortunately, that's a realistic thought I have. Not a lot of people like that
Were
I
you,
talk about it, but I like to talk about the uncomfortable stuff because this whole experience is uncomfortable. So,
yeah.
it's all
Um,
uncomfortable.
can I ask you a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Were you given like a life expectancy or anything?
Yeah, so our doctor's genetic counselor is the one that gave us the diagnosis finally after 6 months of just, you know, tons of doctors trying to guess, trying to put the little pieces together. She actually didn't give me, she did not tell me out of her mouth. I actually researched and spoke to other parents in the support group that I'm in on Facebook for 9P minus. And life expectancy is 40s, early 40s. Um, but obviously, there's a lot of kids, depending on the complications they have, that have gone much, much, much earlier than that. So I think the oldest living 9P minus person that I last heard about is now 65.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, but it just depends because when I saw an image of the chromosome, they drew out an image of the chromosomes and they showed us what the deletion looked like. And I'm not kidding you, Amy, the tiniest little piece. And I'm like, oh, that's not that big. It's fine. We're gonna be fine. That's tiny. And then they said 42 genes that she should have inherited. And I thought, oh, that can't be that bad. And then as they get older and they develop, you're like, oh, wow, it's significant. 42 genes is significant compared to some of these other. Some of them are fortunate enough to go on and live their own lives. And there's a 9P minus lady who she's a parent and she's married. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Is
Jadea,
that progress or is that just different genes that,
her deletion was less significant than Jadea's. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. So, yep, early 40s, you know, that's what they say. So, and Jade is fortunate. She doesn't have cardio. She doesn't have any cardio issues. And that is usually the number one thing that ends up, unfortunately, taking most of these kiddos. So, she doesn't have any cardio issues. So,
praise God for that.
yeah, yeah. And no seizures. And I better knock on this wood right now.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So, how about is there did they do that for you? Did they tell you? I know they told you lots of things he's not going to do.
No, really, it's just,
He's so
you
cute.
know, and in the drowned community,
Mhm.
there are, you know, varying degrees of injury.
Okay.
Some totally unscathed, some completely wiped out.
Yeah.
Um, uh, some have progressed, some never do, some don't progress and keep living, some progress and end up passing. It's just like this
Yeah.
Russian roulette.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what to expect.
Right. Yeah. I would say even though obviously our kids' situations are so different, I'd still the same feeling. You just don't know what to expect, literally, from day to day or month to month, year to year, literally. And we've seen that issue with Jadea where she progressed behaviorally, emotionally. And then this last, I'm going to say 3 months, she's kind of back. She went backtracked and backtracked in that area. And so that was hard for me because it took us years to get her where she was emotionally and mentally.
Okay,
So,
can I share something with
yeah,
you?
go ahead.
So you said that she was also now using her iPad to make choices with her finger.
Correct.
Okay, so developmentally, what I've learned is that whenever they gain a new skill, they'll regress in another temporarily, and then you'll move forward together.
Oh, okay.
So there's some hope.
I did not realize that. I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that. That's good to know.
Just like with a neurotypical child, and I don't know if you have any babies around you, but if you'll watch closely, if one's, if a baby starts walking before she starts talking, she'll become a little bit more clumsy when her words come,
Oh, huh.
and then they'll even out and she'll keep on going.
Wow. I'd never have heard that. Wow. That's good to know. I do not have any babies, but that's definitely a good piece. I hope everybody heard that. I didn't realize that. That's awesome. Okay. Well, that makes a little sense. She's definitely starting to even out a little bit. We're getting back to normal, Jadea. So, but for a while there,
Good.
I was a little worried. So, but that makes sense.
And it's so hard because you just don't know what they
Yeah.
need or what's wrong.
No, you sure don't. You sure
He gets
don't.
frustrated. He
Yeah.
gets so frustrated when, I've got him a little bit on, on some relaxation
Yeah.
medication right
That's
now, but
okay.
and he's really tired because he missed his nap today, but
Oh.
he's starting to get frustrated with okay, so the other day at church,
Mm-hmm.
they texted me from service,
Mm-hmm.
and when I came up the hall, I could hear him screaming. And I was like, he's never done this before. Usually he just
Oh.
sits in the class and he hangs out with his friends and they do circles around him and whatever. Well, they were playing this game. The
Uh-huh.
teacher said that they were playing a game and the children ran behind him. So I guess his chair was in the middle of the room or wherever it was. And the children had ran behind him to the wall and he couldn't see them. He couldn't turn around and run with them. And the teacher forgot
Oh.
to grab him and bring him over with them. And he got upset.
Oh. Oh, wow.
So
Oh, man.
um and it goes back to that, who's going to care for them when we're not there? Like, who's going to care that much to grab him, and take him back where the kids are?
Yep.
I mean, I know that she would have if she would have realized it, but again, he's
Right.
been every
Right.
Sunday, he's just fine laying back and watching, but now there's this shifting happening with him.
Yeah.
um I don't know if it's being a 4-year-old, or I don't know if we're making progress in his brain. I'm
Right.
not really sure what it is at this point, but he's starting to identify the
I
things
was
that
gonna say,
he wants to do. And
which is
it it,
great. That's
it is, it's
fantastic.
awesome.
It's
I'm
bitter it's bittersweet for him, especially yes, bittersweet because if the person that's, doesn't realize like how important it is to make sure he's included, or you just don't think about it in the moment, not to blame anybody. You just don't think about it,
no,
especially with when you're dealing with a whole bunch of kids, but I mean, bittersweet for him because he wants to be a part of it and he knows what he wants, but no one else knows what he wants, you know. Yeah, I understand that. I think, and I'm grateful for the fact that Jadea has a little bit of a voice, and Jadea definitely is really bossy. She's very clear about what she wants, and even though she can't speak it, she'll make sure you understand eventually. She gets the point across. She
I
can
love
grab,
that.
she can like push your arms or your hands in the motion where she wants you to go, what she wants you to do. So I'm grateful for that, that helps. That helps. I've never looked at it like that until I just spoke to you, but I'm realizing that though that does help. That's something to be grateful for, you
And I
know.
mean, that's stuff we take for granted, right? Before this life, I never would have. I'm looking at this baby, this infant that I have now, just and it's totally through a totally different lens.
Oh, I can imagine. I can imagine. I I can't imagine, just like people say they can't imagine our situation, but now that I've met you, or even Christy meeting them, they coming into that. That's not how it was in the beginning, but you're coming into that. And me, I knew it from, I knew it from the day Jay was born, something was wrong. So I knew that something was wrong, but having to come into this not starting out that way, I can't imagine that kind of shift
I
mentally.
don't know if it's better or worse.
I don't.
We touched on this earlier, and I go through it with moms all the time that children are diagnosed HIE, that birth injuries, and they're like, man, we just look at each other and go,
Yeah.
gosh, which one's worse? And it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be a worse one
Right.
or the other, but
Right. I don't think there's ever a comparison. And I always try to remind people, your struggle is your struggle, your family struggle. I could not do what you do every day, and you could not do what I do every day.
65 pounds.
Yeah. So you better respect my struggle because I'm going to
I
respect
do.
yours. That's what I tell people, no comparison. This isn't a competition,
It's really not.
Nope. Nope. Not at
People
all.
try to make it that way sometimes, but
Yep. They try, and that's what I try really not to do. I think that's why I kind of got in the headspace of I'm not going to ask for help ever because I didn't want people to think uh just like that pity that uh I don't know how to explain that feeling. I just always think that way. I'm like, no, because people are going to think you want pity. People are going to think you're just trying to milk it for all it's worth kind of thing. And I was like, but that's a me problem.
well, I'm the
That's not
same
what's true.
way. But I think to start out with that, and I've had to come to the terms with, I, luckily I've only been able to focus on Isaac's therapies.
Right.
Like I said, my brother-in-law has been handling the fundraisers. My other brother-in-law is the one that opened up the GoFundMe. People
Okay.
were attracted to Isaac, not attracted to Isaac's story, but they really wanted to see him pull through. They wanted to
Right.
see a happy ending,
Right.
you know. But I think accepting help is kind of the first step of that. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't know who's in your life or what your support system looks like, but accepting help is really
Oh, it's so
hard.
hard.
But it does make way to being able to ask for help when you need it. I mean,
Right.
like, boy, after this baby came, I was I was drowning.
Oh, I can't
I was
imagine.
drowning, and I've had to ask for so much help over the last few months. And before I was, well, if the help comes, then I'll accept it, which took me a while to get there. I just said that. So,
Yeah.
but I think that's the first part is the next time, you have a friend that says, hey, can I, run and pick up your grocery? Yes, actually, yes, you can. That would be great help. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that piece of advice and encouragement because it's been a struggle for me, 100%. But because it's been, oh,
Let me pass them off to
no,
Kelly.
you're fine. He's too cute. Thanks for sharing him with us. He's so cute.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain how he is, and I know he
Right.
wasn't real full personality tonight, but
That's okay. That's okay. No, I loved it. I love meeting new people. I love making new friends. Yeah, he's a cutie. So
thank you.
what I like to ask everybody, what, and it's really hard to pick out the positives sometimes, but I believe that there is positives in our stories. So in what positive ways has this experience and the journey helped you as an individual grow? And like I said, it can be the smallest thing in the world, but I do believe that there is a positive. So what would be your positive, whether it's one thing, five things, how has it helped you become a better person or grow as a
I think
person?
it's, I've definitely got more compassion now.
Okay.
Um, for, I mean, I've made space to be able to, are you still there?
Yeah. Am I frozen? Uh-oh.
Yeah, hold on. Sorry. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Am I frozen?
Okay. Sorry. So I think that it's made me a better person because I have, as a mother, I've become more patient.
Mm-hmm.
I think as a student, I've become more open to different possibilities. I don't look at things on the surface anymore as I used to.
Right.
Not that I was a surface level person, but I just, when you go through something like this, it's grace is a huge one.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Preach that all day.
the amount of grace that I have to give every day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
Um, I just, I've never had a passion for something so much as what I have a passion for now. And the hard thing is not knowing where I'll end up, where Isaac will end up.
Yeah.
Um, but if I can offer comfort or, you know, a therapy that works, or, my heart right now is I'm really wanting to train children in a specific type of swim training to be able to survive in the water.
Oh,
Um, I would really like,
yeah.
yeah. So I've a financial background, but
Okay.
being in an office was never something I saw myself going back to after being free for the last
Right.
12 years. Um, but yeah, so I've just met so many wonderful people who have held me up and who I've been able to hold up. And it's just this whole nother level of the human experience, I think.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love
I
that.
mean,
I love that. I think I've
I'm
missed
nothing
out.
without you.
Yeah.
I'm nothing without the people that surrounded. My son wouldn't be here if it weren't for the phone call that I got that day that said, look, it doesn't have to go that way if you don't want to.
Right. Right. I like that statement right there that you just said. It doesn't have to go that way if you don't want it to. That's powerful because that could pertain to not only him say keeping him alive, but that can pertain to many other things, medications that their parents think they have to put their kid on because this is what they say is going to help or it's going to be the best. Doesn't have to be that way if you don't want it to be that way. I love that. That's powerful.
But the world is going to make you think that it does have to be that way. But there is a huge support system just below that
Right.
that is able to guide and a, a steer me towards a
Mm-hmm.
smoother kind of river. I don't know what I'm saying.
No, yeah. No, I get it. I don't know if the listeners get it, but I get it. I get it 100%. I love that. You've definitely provided me some encouragement this evening. Definitely. So I do have one final question that I absolutely love asking people because we have a lot of families that will listen to this podcast. We have families who will never experience what we've experienced and we have families who do experience or they're brand new to it. There's so many different situations, but no matter what position they're in, what is one or if you have more than one, it doesn't have to be one. What is a piece of encouraging advice to those that are not familiar with this lifestyle is what I always say, who or are just brand new to experiencing it. What's a piece of encouragement for our listeners that you would say has helped you or that you would like to give to them?
This is where my iPad comes in.
Okay.
I made a couple of notes and we touched on a lot of stuff that I made notes about. So that
Oh,
was kind of
really?
cool.
Good.
Um, so advice, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. So we have to educate ourselves. We have to know everything about our children. And, I don't know about, what type of life situations your listeners are in, where they, what backgrounds they come from, if they have children like ours or not.
Mm-hmm.
But educating yourself is just, and not in just how to, say hi when you see somebody like that, but to know that there is another way, right?
Right.
Reaching out to people that try things that are out of the box, and linking up with others who understand what you're going through,
Mm-hmm.
accepting and learning help. We touched on that one. Organization is so important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Man, that's no joke. I didn't take that seriously in the beginning.
Me
Oh,
neither. Well, I guess I did. It
I did
was, but
not.
it's a
I
whole other level though.
Oh man, I did not take that seriously and I found out real quick that's a bad idea.
Yeah. Um, I look for ways to help others, to help myself feel better when I'm in a funk.
Mhm.
Um, and then also, like, a big one is making sure that the person that talks to you in your head is nice to you.
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot.
And if she's not nice, tell her to shut up
I
and pick someone
like
else.
I like that. Did you guys hear that? That's a good one. I like that a lot.
We can
A
change the
lot.
way that we talk to ourselves, and it will give us a different perspective.
That's so true.
Um,
That's so
have
true.
grace, be
Yeah,
kind to yourself and others.
absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. That's awesome. Man, I'm so glad that you agreed to be on this podcast interview. I'm excited for everybody to hear your story, hear about Isaac and your family. Honestly, just a beautiful human. I call everybody beautiful humans, beautiful people. We're all
Yes.
beautiful. And I'm just honored that you are willing to be vulnerable and share, because it's hard to share. So I'm glad that you were willing and open to that. So thank you. I
I'm so,
really, really appreciate
of
it.
course.
I really
I'm
do.
so honored that you asked me and that you took time out of your night tonight
Of
to
course. I feel like it's
meet
a
with me.
I feel like it's a how can I say? Um a form of self-care sometimes when I get on here and do this. You know?
Amen.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Okay. I hope you guys enjoy this episode as much as I did. And thank you again, Amy, so much for sharing.